How would you explain good debt versus bad debt?
All right, I love this question because good debt to me is.
If you want the boss's view, you gotta sacrifice. You wanna move like bosses move.
YMA, Young Millionaires Association. Yeah, see, that's the association. Joe.
Welcome, guys, to the YMANation podcast, episode number 50. And I am Joe Wallace, and I have a special guest this episode. She has so much great information to share, but before I do the introduction, what I would like to do is explain to you guys our drawing, because I know a lot of you guys are here to hear about our cash prize. So what we have is our $2,000 drawing for March. The only thing that you have to do is down in the comment section, hashtag YMANation, and your name will be in the drawing to win some cash. You guys ready to win some cash? Our cash drawing. And then also down in the comment section during our episode, I'm going to give you a key word. Down in the comment, you'll see that there's a link. When you click the link, you put in your information, put in the keyword, and your name will go into the drawing an additional time. How big is that? So, Miss Martine Helou, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. Blessed by God.
Blessed by God. Hold on, we got to give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
I love it. I love the energy already. So today on Wealth Building Monday, we are going to talk about money wise, and you are going to give them some information that's going to help prepare them for success financially. So our subject is money wise, how to set yourself up for financial success. Tell us about who is Martine Helou.
Oh my goodness, where do I start?
This is where that long story.
Oh no, I can't even go that far. No, really, I'm actually Lebanese American.
Okay.
And I've lived a lot of my life outside of the United States, but I've also spent a lot of time here in South Carolina. But you know what? I consider myself a citizen of the world, and I'm really proud of that. I've actually been, independent since I was 16 years old, so I think I'm going to have some really good advice to share based on my mistakes that I've made.
When you say independent, what do you mean by independent?
Meaning that living outside of my house. So I had my own job at 16.
16.
I finished my junior and senior year of high school while working a job.
Wow.
And so, just kept up my life and, ended up working real hard, and thanks be to God, got a scholarship to college. And, I'm just here to tell anybody, everybody out here, do not look at where you are today and think that that's where you're going to be tomorrow. You look at where you are today and know that you have the capability to push yourself to something that you could never even imagine right now.
Wow.
But it's putting yourself in the right mindset right now going forward.
So we have a lot of people that's online that's young, like between that age group too, like 16 to 25. What advice would you say, like, put yourself in that mindset? Like, at that age, you don't really grasp what is like that mindset I need to be in. Yeah,
well, that's really a difficult question to answer because they are not in that mindset, and I wasn't even in that mindset.
I wasn't either.
Exactly. But if you are wise, you will listen to the advice of people that have been there, and somebody telling you really honestly, you want to watch out for this, or you want to definitely do this, and you want to take that advice. If you are smart, you will take the advice of wise, godly counsel.
Good.
Period. And, and that's what I want to urge young people is that stop thinking about just today. Think about living 20, 30, 40 years. See yourself 30 years from now and say, where do I want to be 30 years from now? And more than that, how do I want to feel 30 years from now? And if you ask me now, at age 42, what I want more than anything is not money, is not a big house, is not a car. It is peace.
Peace.
That's what I want. I want peace. And a lot of times our financial condition is what robs us of so much peace. So I would say to people, please make sure that you are making very, very good financial decisions, because you're going to pay for it later. You're going to pay for mistakes that you made financially. You will pay for them eventually later. So be smart.
That's
Kind of like
interesting.
debt.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, the interest accrues. You're going to have to pay.
It's interesting that you say that because being in the realm that I am, you see a lot of people come through our company for like credit. And around the age of 25 to 30, I hear it a lot where someone says, you know what, I was young, I was in college, I got credit cards, but I didn't know how to manage that. And now they're having to deal with it 10 years down the road, 8 years down the road. So the decisions that they make by having an education and wise counsel at that early age, which I wish I would have. And I'm sure everyone that's over the age of 35 can attest and say, I wish I would have paid attention to my mom when she said this, or my father when he said this, or my grandmother, like always. So when you're at that age of 16, 17, 18, everyone thinks they know everything at that age. I promise you, everyone thinks they know everything at that, right?
Listen, I'm going to tell you something my grandma told me. She said, if you can't buy it with cash, you can't afford it.
If you can't buy it with cash, you can't afford it.
At all. You know, but as you get older, you start to look at, you know, well, what can I go into debt for that is actually going to end up benefiting me? So there are some things that, you know, where debt is necessary, but you got to be smart.
Yes.
You know,
that's an excellent point. And I hate to blow it, but we do have a future episode called Good Debt versus Bad Debt.
I'd love to speak on that subject.
Oh, wow. We might have to have her back.
That's right. That's right.
That is good. So how would you explain good debt versus bad debt?
All right. I love this question because good debt to me is debt that when you take it on, it actually pays off for you. Meaning this, if you buy a house for a really good price,
right?
Okay. Let's say that I get a house for $100,000 and I decide that I'm going to take out a loan for that house for $100,000. Well, that debt is good if I know that the market that I'm buying that house in is going to eventually appreciate that house to $150,000.
Right.
But
equity.
That's right. Equity. But here's the key on that though, is that you don't want to take a 30-year mortgage on that and then end up paying $160,000 and getting $150,000 back. Thank you.
If you guys didn't catch that on the previous episode, Real Estate Wednesday, the last episode was episode number 48. Episode 48. The exact same thing that she just said. Someone with wise counsel is repeating the exact same thing Miss Rebecca said. So
that's right, because it's truth, and Rebecca knows the truth, obviously, because she was wise to pick you as well for her husband. That's good. You know, so
hold on.
Look at that.
We'll give her a round of applause for that one.
So then, you know, when you're looking at that good debt and you say, okay, and let's say this too, is that if you are spending your money wisely when you're young,
right,
okay, and you're not just frivolously just letting it go to wherever, and you're not getting credit cards too early, what you can do is you can do a savings plan where you're saving just a little bit at a time. And guess what's going to happen? By the time that you're 25 years old and you're ready to buy a house, you're going to be able to put a bigger down payment on the house.
Right.
And that's the thing, is that the bigger down payment that you put, the less money that you owe, the less money that you've got to borrow.
Right.
Exactly. So you got to be future minded.
Right. One thing that we teach our people is about credit and about interest rate.
Yes.
And so the interest rate is important too. So if just to use that same scenario, that house for $100,000, if you get that at a 2.7% interest rate versus having bad credit and paying 4% interest rate, you're talking about like tens of thousands of dollars that you would pay out to the bank over the life of that loan.
100%. Exactly. And you know what? I'm not interested in giving the bank any more money. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not. I'd like to keep it.
I'm not either. Anyone that's money-wise is not trying to throw their money away to the banks.
That's right. And, you know, and we talked about like good debt versus bad debt. You know, and I'm also going to speak about this. College education. For some people, college is wonderful. That's the way to go, depending on the career that you want to get into, right? And I'm going to advise this too. Do not think that you have to go to a 4-year college like Clemson or Furman or any of these other, you know, pretty expensive schools. Don't think that you got to go all 4 years there. Go 2 years to a technical college and then go into that school. So you're acquiring, you know, you're acquiring less debt. That's an option. You got to be smart. And then also, make sure you're going to college for something that you know is in demand.
Right.
Okay? You know, business administration, I know it's wonderful and everything, but everybody does that. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at the marketplace. Are you going into a high demand job like nursing? So I'm going to go ahead and just say this right now. There is absolutely nothing wrong with getting a trade. Get a skill. There are kids that are coming out of high school, y'all, with no debt whatsoever. They've got an apprenticeship at an amazing company. They're making $50,000 a year, and they're ready to buy their first home a year out of high school.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, I know a lot of people who do not have a college degree that makes $80,000 or more per year.
100%. And always, you got to understand, when people want to sell you something, they're making something off of selling you.
Right.
So ask the right questions. Why? Why is that trend? Why was that trend for such a long time? Go to college, go to college, go to college. Well, I'm going to tell you, it started when the federal government started issuing student loans.
Money.
Money.
Right. And you pay interest on your student loans.
And you pay interest on your student loans. Exactly.
I'm big on education, but it's something that I do feel that it's only so much to learn in school. You learn the true set of skills being in it hands-on.
100%.
And I would say that from being a business consultant, going through college and accounting, marketing. After that second year, it's just like you just taking things just to take them. Like, I got to take this. Has nothing to do with what my profession is.
Exactly.
But you have to do it because that's what the criteria is to be able to get a degree. But I've learned probably 70 to 80% being hands-on involved in the job. So I'm not telling you guys don't go to college, because you do learn. It's a lot of things that have helped me and has been a benefit to, oh, well, I didn't know this about whatever, but it does help. But being hands-on in anything and gaining that experience hands-on definitely supersedes like sitting in a classroom or online and just gaining information.
I totally agree.
Man, this is good. Good. Miss Helou is in the building, guys. What do you feel is the most challenging part when spending that the people that's seeing this right now when it comes to like saving and then investing? A lot of people say, I can't, or I don't have the bandwidth to try to save. So what would your advice be?
You better get the bandwidth, because
you better get the bandwidth.
Exactly. No, but I think that the discipline that I would say to everyone is, don't fall into the trap of instant gratification.
Wow, that is big.
Do not do that. When you want something, and this is what I do all the time, is that I want something and it's kind of expensive, I'd never buy it right when I want it. What I do is I say, you know what, I really would like that, but I'm going to wait and see if, number one, if I'm going to be able to afford it, and number two, if God wants me to have it. Because if he wants me to have it, he's going to bring it to me, and he's going to give it to me at a discount.
At a discount.
What? And you know what? It happens all the time. It happens all the time. When you don't go and you just don't instantly make that decision, a car salesman wants to sell you the car right there and then. He does not want you to walk away before you buy that vehicle. Right?
Right.
Because he knows that he needs to make some money right then and there, right? Because he's got a quota that month. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about whether or not you can really afford the payments. And now they want to give car loans for 7 years. Are you crazy? You know what I'm saying? So just think about it. Take a little step back. Start with 5 minutes, and then you can go to 5 hours. And what you're going to realize is that after the 5 hours, you really don't need that thing so much.
What's crazy, and a lot of people don't understand it, if I go into a car lot and they tell me, hey, you know what, I can only afford $400 a month. And they say, well, your car payment based on this and your credit and how much you're putting down, it's going to be around $470. But what we can do is have that loan instead of 6 years, 7 years. And if my credit is not to a point where I'm paying 2% or 3% in interest rate, I'm throwing so much money away.
Yes, you are.
And you know what's important about that, since we're talking to a younger audience, is that the decisions that you make when you're young, that first vehicle is going to dictate your future. Because
Yes.
yeah.
I'm looking at you going, oh my goodness, that is so true. And you know, Joe, I've never thought about it that way, but that's absolutely true. That first vehicle, that first really large purchase is going to dictate it all.
Yes.
You know, and do you really need it? Let me tell you something. I can afford a car, you know, a really expensive car, but I choose to drive a Toyota Camry from 2010. And you know why I do? Because the insurance is cheaper. The gas is cheaper. I don't have to worry if somebody dings my car, you know what I mean, in a parking lot. And so you just realize that that's not really that important.
I had to force my mom out of a 2012. Like a couple of years ago, I was like, I'm paying for it. And she was like, nah, I'm happy with what I got. And I was like, I didn't offer you something at no cost, you still done. But
you know what, though?
Took a while.
That's peace, though.
And being humble, too.
100%. You know, because if she's happy with that, how much happier is she going to be with something that's a little bit of an upgrade?
Oh, she's happier, but it took a while to get her there.
Yes. But you know what, though? And I want to say this, too. It's because that thing didn't have control over her.
That's right.
That is so important. Do not let buying things and acquiring things and money have so much control over your decisions. You're in control, you know, and you've got to be really aware of that. So I think that's something really important.
No, that's very important because a lot of people, I've heard people say that, you know what, I'm not happy right now or I'm sad right now, so I'm going to go shopping. So now you're letting emotion, emotion control your life and your future, because if you can't afford it, but you're going to do it for that temporary relief.
That's right.
Then 6 months later, like, oh my God, I got all these bills, and because I was going through this moment in my life, but it's that being able to forward think.
Right.
And that's critical.
So it went from retail therapy to retail regret.
Retail regret. I want to make sure I tell them this thing about when we were talking about the car, because I want them to truly understand that very first purchase, if you have poor credit and you go to buy a car, for one, never go to a car lot and allow them to pull your credit like 100 times. What you need to do at an early age is make sure that you focus on improving your credit score, so then you can go to your bank and you get a pre-approval from your bank, and they're going to give you a great rate when you have good credit. Then you just walk into the car lot and you don't want to tell them you got a pre-approval up front, but you want to find you a car and say, how much is this car? And then say, well, what if I paid for an X amount in cash? Because that check is cash.
Right.
Guys, that first purchase, if you make a poor decision on that first purchase and you paying 27% in interest, the car is going to depreciate faster than how much you're paying on the car.
It's written right here. I got my notes.
Oh, she was already prepared.
And in my notes, I said bad debt is any debt that you acquire on something that depreciates very fast. So we're talking about cars. We're talking about clothes. For goodness sake, do not go to Macy's and Kohl's and buy stuff on credit. All right, here we go. Let me just tell you this. Can I just say this
definitely.
right now? Okay, so for all you young buyers out there, I want you to know what they're about to offer to you. So Macy's, Gap, and Neiman Marcus are now letting you buy now, pay later. Not layaway. They are actually going to give you the credit so that you can buy whatever you want and then pay later. And what is the goal of this? I'm going to be honest with you. It's to lure young shoppers like you who don't have credit cards into coming. The stores pay the fees for your customer, for your delayed payments to them. And this guarantees that the stores will be making high pressure marketing to you because they need your money. And instead of the credit card getting your money because you don't have a credit card or you can't get a credit card, the store's going to make money off of you. No. Because you can never, ever, ever sell that shirt or jeans that you bought at $25 or more for what you actually paid for them. They're always going to be cheaper.
And store cards are, the interest rates on store cards are enormous. And also, if I can also say this about building credit, I have my credit score. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it this month. I've worked so hard. My credit score is 845. Go ahead. now, not only are we side by side, but now we got a reason to be side by side. 8:45.
8:45. Can I tell you how I did it?
Yes.
Okay. The way that I did it is that I ended up getting a credit card, an American Express. Bam.
My favorite, American Express.
I got an American Express, and I started spending on that American Express about $100 a month. I would never ever let the balance revolve, so it never rolled over into the next month. I always said whatever I'm buying with the credit card, I better have it in the bank. So then when the bill comes up, I pay it automatically, never pay a dime in interest, but yet it increases my credit, right? Mm-hmm. And then I also at the same time got a house and all that kind of stuff, but I never acquired more debt, right? So I just sat there. So when your debt starts to go down and you're making great payments, all of a sudden your credit score shoots up because there's a less percentage of what you owe versus what you're bringing in.
Right.
So it's a process. But like you said, you guys don't want to be starting digging yourself out of a hole. It's not necessary. Do not be pressured by people, what they wear, what they've got. Do not.
Yes.
Because anything that burns really has no value. It's just going to end up costing you. And so just be wise. Set yourself apart from the rest. You may not have the very best right now, but if you do it right, you'll have the very best later.
You heard it. Miss Martine said it. It didn't just come from Joe. It did not just come from Joe. Guys, the key word today is finance. Finance is going to be the key word. So make sure you go down in the comment section. You'll see the link. Go to the website, drop in that keyword for your chance to be part of that $2,000 drawing. What is an attribute or quality someone should master to become financially savvy?
Can I just compliment him right now? He had the best questions. Loved your questions. They're absolutely great. And I'm going to say being honest. Being honest means, do I really need this? Do I really need this? 2, how much is it really costing me? So don't think the car is $20,000. You need to know the car is going to cost you $35,000. Okay? And then the third thing is the real reason I'm buying this or doing that with my money because everybody else is.
And that's important. That last statement is...
It's got to be honest.
Yes. Yep. That's important because a lot of people, and I would say I'm probably guilty of it because I'm always trying to inspire. So I'll put things like the cars and I'll put online. But I've learned probably over the last 12 years of my life, if you can't pay for it over and over, you just don't buy it.
That's right.
So if that car payment is $1,000, then you better be bringing in like $7,000 a month, where a third of your income could be going into savings.
Correct. I totally agree with that.
Don't try to keep up with the Joneses.
No, my goodness.
Yeah.
Yep. I like the Browns better.
You like the Browns? I'll say I like the Wallaces better.
The Wallaces, yes. That's great too. Yep. And save little by little. You know what I'm saying? If you're 16 years old or 17 years old right now, and even 20, and you're listening to this, put $10 a week aside every week. You'd be shocked. I wish I would have done that.
I'm going to tell you guys, she says $10. If you work a full-time job at that age, because I want to try to get them to like the level of financial freedom.
Right.
If you make $10, I'm just throwing out a number, $10 an hour, and you're doing 40 hours a week, that's 80 hours every 2 weeks. That means that you're bringing in $800, and then they're going to take away Social Security taxes, You're probably going to have a check around $650. You should be putting at least like 15 to 20% of that into savings. Just have it where they could it comes out. It goes into your savings every 2 weeks before you even see it. So you never even think that you could even have it touched.
That's right.
It's gone.
Yeah. It's gone. You don't even see it. Yep, exactly.
And then you just become accustomed to like, well, I only make $450 every 2 weeks.
That's right. I love it. That's great. That's actually really, really good advice.
I have okay, you're going to love this one.
Oh, good.
You ready?
Bring it.
You ready? She said, bring it. All right. If you could turn back time and you was 20 years old again, what would you do differently?
I would never get a credit card.
You would never get a credit card?
Not at that age.
Oh
no.
my
No.
God.
No.
Uh-oh. This is about to get really good. Okay, so let's hear why.
The reason why is because at that age you are not able to manage it. It's so easy for you to take the card out of your pocket and just to go and spend without really feeling the repercussions and the responsibilities of that. And I think too, because you're not as mature, you're not going to make the wisest decisions.
Right.
You're going to make instant gratification. I want that now. That's going to make me feel good now. And so that credit card is actually turned into a weapon against you because it makes it too easy. And then also, I think it's always good for people to struggle a little bit so that you can appreciate what you have, so that you can value what you have.
You know, that's good that you said that. And I'm going to come back to that, but it's good. The part where you say struggle, I think when you look at probably 75% of people that are successful, they always have a story.
Yes.
Like, this is where I came from. Here's all the challenges that I had to fight, all the hurdles I had to jump over. But I got here by being persistent, being consistent, and just being able to have a plan. And that's important too. The credit cards, guys, I'll tell you from how we educate our people is parents have to be involved.
Yes.
Right? Parents have to be involved. If you start your child at like 16 years old, but you have complete control of the card, that doesn't mean like you give them a card. Add them as an authorized user. So then they're starting to establish credit. So by the time they turn 18, they already have a 700, 710 score already. Now I can get you going to apply for a card. And I know everyone has like their ways of doing it. But if the parents are involved, you get that card for your child and you force them to be educated on their finances. You do not use the card. And some parents don't have enough control to be able to tell their child, don't use that card unless you tell me.
Right.
Because some kids just going to go out and do it anyway.
Because if it's out of control, I think that, yes, I mean, if parents can do that, that's wonderful because then they're going to teach your children. But when it's just out of control and you don't have any, you know what I mean? You have no checks and balances on that. I think it's really dangerous. And, and I want for y'all to also understand the word struggle is not necessarily bad. You got to think about it like this. It's not struggle that's defeating you. It's progressive struggle. You're progressing as you're overcoming that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So in every other, you'll get from stage to stage and it'll get better and better and easier and easier. Yep.
This has been wonderful.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it too.
We are not done. We are not done. I'm going to ask you for some final advice.
Okay.
All right. So final advice. What would you give to the audience if that you feel that they can implement in their lives, like right now? Like, what can I do to create a better financial future for myself? If I'm 19 years old, 20 years old, what can I do right now?
You control the money. You got to look at it like that. You have to be in control of the money. You are the bank. I don't like interest rates either, anyway. Be wiser. To me, I would say be wiser than the marketplace, and you can make your money work exponentially for you. Learn that people want to make money off of you. Learn the tactics of doing that. Be smart. Say, how are they trying to sell me? Is it really worth it? That's what I would say. Be very, very discerning. And then also, this is my rule that I give my children, and I'll do it. I will say this over and over again. Do what you have to do before you can do what you want to do. Meaning, buy what you've got to have, what you need, before you even think about buying what you want to have. The need before the want. If you can't satisfy the need, it's not time for the want.
That's parenting. That's parenting. But see how important that is?
It's very important. You have to just be very disciplined.
That's parenting. And that's the advantage that they have nowadays, is having parents that has the financial knowledge to pass down that information.
That's right.
Guys, wow. Thank you.
Good show.
Thank you, Miss Martine Helou. Thank you so much. So, wow, this has been a wonderful episode. I hope you guys learned a lot. She shared a lot of good information, money-wise, how to set yourself up for financial success. She gave it to you. She gave it to you. Now it's up to you to take that information and implement it into your life where you can start to see some progress. But that's what it's all about, guys. Thank you again. Make sure you hashtag YMANation down in the comment section. Like, comment, and subscribe. We are on our way to 2,000 subscribers, guys. So make sure if you're on and you have not subscribed yet, subscribe now. Do it. 2 seconds. Thank you. So we'll see you guys for Real Estate Wednesday. Thank you again.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
View what the bosses view. You gotta sacrifice. You wanna move like bosses move.
YMA, Young Millionaires Association. Yeah, see, that's the association. Joe.